Hello, welcome back. My name is Maida and you're watching Maida Pours. I love acrylic pouring and I love filming it, and that is what you are going to find on this channel. Me filming my acrylic pours. This one I am actually going to be calling a full tutorial, kind of from beginning to end, how I would recommend doing your very first acrylic pour. Like you've just started out, you've gotten your supplies, you've gotten your, this is very specifically going to be for Liquitex Basics Paint and also Floetrol. This is Floetrol, by the way, in this handy dandy mixing cup. I have Floetrol. So that is what I use. I also use a little bit of water. So I'm going to take you through this step by step. I'm going to start with how I mix my paints, my very specific way. I do Liquitex Basics and also Artist Loft, and really any heavy bodied paint like this that comes in a tube like this is how I would mix it. And then I'm going to show you how I layer the cup. I am going to be using silicone to get cells, because I feel like when we first start, we really want to see those cells. And well, not everyone, but if you do want to see cells, you know, this is kind of the most surefire way to get them. I know it's the first way I ever tried. I think this is the very first acrylic pour I ever did, and it's what I would recommend to a brand new beginner as far as what your first acrylic pour should be. Doesn't have to be, there's lots of other kinds, but this is, you know, this is what I did, and this is what I think is sort of the most fun, the most kind of like you're gonna get something really cool and interesting, and it's very simple, and everyone can do it. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get started with mixing up the paints. Okay, so we are going to mix the paints. Now I've mixed most of this palette up. We will go through the palette next, but I do have one last color to mix up, so I'm going to do that here. Now, here is what I recommend, highly recommend as a beginner. This was a game changer for me. Get a kitchen scale. If you don't already have one, they're very inexpensive on Amazon. One of the most important parts of an acrylic pour is the mixing of the paint. The pouring is the most fun, but the mixing is the most important. So I am going to be mixing up this Liquitex Basics. This is going to be a fluorescent blue. Again, I will go through the entire palette of this pour next, and I'm going to be talking about the paints I'm using, their transparency, you know, opaque, semi-transparent, transparent, and how that corresponds to how you might want to think about layering in the cup. So layering them in the cup. Okay, I can talk, I swear. So mixing. I put the cup on the kitchen scale. I zero it out, so it's 0. I like to measure in fluid ounces. You can do any unit of measurement you want as long as you use the correct ratios. So for this pour, I am mixing up more paint than I'm using for this pour because I plan on using this palette for a couple other pours today, which you might see later. But I am actually going to be using the rest of this Floetrol here. And I use Floetrol as my pouring medium, and then also water. Now, some people use glue. There's a lot of fancy pouring mediums out there. I use Floetrol, and I'm not going to say that it is the best. There's a few out there that I'm very curious about trying out, but it's definitely very easily accessible for me, and it's cost efficient too, you know, like you get a lot for I get this for about $7 a quart, both on Amazon and also at my local Friedman's. So I go through a lot of it, but anyway, that's what I use as my pouring medium. And I have about 4 ounces in this cup, and that's what I'm going to use the rest of it. So I use 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint, okay? So 2 parts Floetrol is the ratio. Now for what that's gonna mean in this pour is about 4 ounces of Floetrol to about 2 ounces of paint. Okay, so I pour the Floetrol in first because, well, it mixes the paint easier, and I might not have 4 ounces of Floetrol in here. I might have lied. This might be 2 ounces of Floetrol, a 1 ounce paint. Okay, looks like what we're going to be doing. All right, so that's 2 ounces of Floetrol, and I'm going to use 1 ounce of the paint. So I zero it out again, and I squeeze in 1 ounce of paint. Not too fast, because now again, you do not have to be this precise. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of measuring paint and think that it takes the fun out of it, and that's fair. And if you are of that mindset, absolutely, that is totally your call. Now for me, the reason I started measuring paint is because, well, honestly, a YouTuber who one of the first YouTubers I watched, I don't know, they recommended it, and I was like, I'll give that a try. All right, so then Floetrol first, and then the paint. Before I add any water, I mix this thoroughly. And mixing thoroughly is important. I know that sounds like a no-brainer, but you don't want to be, you know, you want to make sure you scrape the sides. You know, this is kind of a nice cup to do it in because it's clear, so I can see, you know, if I got any Floetrol kind of still clinging to my sides and all that stuff. So you got to take your time with mixing. So yes, going back, I didn't measure it first, and I really struggled with getting proper consistencies to my paint. When I first started pouring, I feel like I got a lot of muddy paintings, and keeping it very consistent is the key, and nothing is going to keep it more consistent than actually measuring it out. So I go a lot more by feel these days, but when I first started, that just helped me so much, being able to enjoy the process so much more. And I don't mind measuring it out. I don't know. I'm that kind of person. It's sort of fun for me to get it exact. I don't know. But it allowed me to enjoy the pour because it guaranteed that my paints would not be muddy messes that just, or I don't know, it's important. Now once you get more experience, you know, having different consistencies in a pour is going to be a big part of various techniques. But if you don't know like the basics of kind of like how to mix paint and how to know what the different consistencies are, you know, anyway. So I recommend starting with one type of paint, or one similar type of paint like Liquitex and Artist Loft, which tend to be the most cost efficient anyway, not completely. But getting to know that one brand of paint really well, you know, getting to know paint. Get to know the paints. Anyway, so this is pretty much nicely mixed with the Floetrol. And now it's time to add some water. Now, different amounts of water are going to achieve the different consistencies, right? Now, I am not doing a Dutch pour. I do not want these super thin. I am doing a flip cup. I don't want them super thick either. I prefer my paints to be less thick than, I don't know, that's just my personal preference. So what I'm gonna do, just to keep it exact, this is something as you go along, you're gonna be able to feel this consistency as you mix in the water. But in the beginning, it's kind of good to know an exact measurement to kind of see what I'm talking about. Like if you took Liquitex paints and mix them exactly the way I'm describing, you would get pretty much the same consistency of paints here. So I'm going to zero out this cup. I'm going to put in, let's think about this. Let's do our ratios, right? I put in 2 ounces of Floetrol, 1 ounce of paint, and now I'm going to use half the amount of water that I did paint. So I did 1 ounce of paint, so I'm going to use half an ounce of water. And this I have to pour in very slowly. I really don't want to use too much, you know, if you use too much water. So I'm gonna just kind of like dribble drab this in until it gets to half an ounce. I mixed all my other paints at this exact ratio, so I'm just keeping with that's at 0.4 right there. Just a drop. Just a little bitty drop. And not quite. Okay. So now we're gonna mix this up. Now adding that water, it becomes much, you can feel the paint kind of like give. All of a sudden when you have the popsicle stick, you feel it suddenly like, I don't know, you feel the movement and the fluidity. It's not like water, you know, but it's not too thick. It pours, so to speak. It's like heavy cream, maybe. This leaves a very slight mound when it pours into the cup. It does not immediately incorporate, but it does sink very quickly. And it pours, I hope the camera's picking it up. It pours right off the popsicle stick. Okay, so there we go. That is how I mix up Liquitex paint using Flood Floetrol as the pouring medium. Next, we're going to go through the paint palette and discuss kind of how I'm going to be layering these in the cup, because it does kind of matter. Well, it is going, I shouldn't say it matters. I should say it's going to affect the way the pour comes out, the way you layer the paint in the cup for a flip cup. Okay, so all right, let's go. We're gonna go over the palette for this pour. Now I have your basic titanium white by Liquitex. This is a opaque color. So you see right here, that little black box being all shaded in black, that is its symbol for being opaque, all right? The other opaque color we are gonna be using is this bright aqua green. And it's opaque, and this is coming up in just a moment. So this is why I'm telling you the translucency as well as the color. So this is I can never pronounce this, Phthalo Cyan Blue. Now see how it's filled in white right there, that little box? That means this is a translucent color, all right? The white is translucent, the black is opaque. Now this one doesn't have a box. I don't know if it's new or old, probably old. I looked it up online. This is actually semi-translucent. This is gold, and I, for some reason, assumed it was going to be opaque because it's metallic, but online it says this is semi-translucent. And the silver here is fully white, which means it's actually translucent. Again, I was like, wait, I thought metallics were going to be opaque, but these say translucent. All right. And then I've got this fluorescent blue. See how it's like half white, the half clear? That means semi-opaque, semi-translucent, whichever way you want to look at it. But it's you know, it's not fully translucent, but it's not opaque either. It's right in the middle. And this is the fluorescent blue. Let's get that on camera, Maida. All right, sorry about that. And then we've got the brilliant yellow green, also semi-opaque, semi-translucent, sorry. I think that's actually, and this is a fun color. Bright yellow green, yes. This is actually my first time ever using this color, but it's just fun and I wanted to use it, so. So I am, all right. And that should be all of them, yeah. So I have, now one thing that I tried to do with this palette is it should all flow together anyway. I am gonna be layering the white on the bottom of the cup and the top of the cup, and possibly sort of in between some layers here and there. The green is opaque. The brilliant aqua green is opaque. So I'm putting these in order right now. Now I don't want to put opaque first. So here's the cup, right, that I'm going to end up filling up for this flip cup. Now, when you layer your cup, what you put in at the bottom, what you put in first, is actually going to end up at the top of the cup when you flip it, okay? So I prefer to have my opaque colors, with the exception of white, honestly. The colored opaque colors, I should say, because white mixes with everything. It's white. It's a nice transition color. But I like to put the opaque colors or color. I don't like to use too many opaque paints in a single pour. I only have one other than the white in this pour. I like to put that at the top, or near the top, not necessarily very top, so that when it flips over, it's one of the first paints to hit the canvas. And that way it will lay at the kind of at the base, and it's a nice deep opaque color, and the translucent colors will like merge and do their things on top. So I'm gonna layer this while I do, whoop, okay, we're gonna move these over to the side. I don't need to knock over my paints right now, so we're gonna move this over to the side, and I'm gonna sort of plan out how I'm going to layer these in the cup, right? And I am gonna do like 2 layers, I think, when I do this. So we are gonna start with white, right? And then we're going to go to the transparent Fido Cyan Blue. And then we're going to go to the, I'm going to do the gold. And then I'm going to do the Brilliant Blue. And then the silver. And then the green. And then finally, the Bright Aqua Green. Actually, I'm going to flip the silver there. Okay. So I'm going, my white, now that's opaque, but this is transparent, semi-transparent, 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 transparent to opaque. Okay. And all of these colors should flow together. I might put another little layer of white, although gold and blue are going to make a greenish color. It should work. Everything should work. So, that's how I'm going to layer those in. So I'm actually going to set these cups off to the side. And we are going, because I've transferred sort of the amount needed, except for my fluorescent blue, into smaller containers. And the smaller containers are where I'm going to add the silicone to. So here's one of the smaller containers. Now these are about 2-ounce containers. I'm not filling them up to the very top. And this is what I'm going to be adding the silicone to, because I want to use those paints for other pours, and I don't know that I'm going to want to use silicone in those pours. So let's go ahead and add the silicone. All right. Okay. So we are ready to add the silicone. Now, here's the palette, except for my white, which I have here. I'm not putting any silicone in my white. No silicone in the white, only in the colors here. Okay, so this is the silicone I use, which you probably can't read because it is covered in paint. So my apologies, let me help you out with that. It's 3-in-1 all temp silicone. I got this on Amazon. Amazon is Michael's and Amazon is probably the source of the majority of my art supplies. Now, is this the best silicone? Well, I don't know. I think I've definitely seen some other silicones recommended by other YouTubers. This is the only silicone other than like coconut hair serum that I've used, and I like it because it dries really clean. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So this here is well, another pour that I did. I'll go ahead and link it up here, wherever it links. Anyway, over here somewhere. But this is a pour that I use silicone on, and I have not cleaned this canvas at all. And I'm gonna try to hold it up here to the canvas so you can really, so you can really see. But this canvas is not sticky. There are no spots of like silicone sitting. It's not dirty. If I'm going to be honest, I will probably forget to wipe it down when I varnish it, because I've definitely done that before and it's turned out fine. So the silicone seems to dry really well, at least for me. I am in Northern California. We don't really have humidity here. I don't know how that would affect things, but I have no problems with how this dries. So this is what I use. Can you get better cells with other brands? Maybe, I don't know. Haven't tried them. So this is what I use. And this is, I'm telling you, the reason I like it is because of how clean it dries in my experience. Okay. So these are little 2-ounce cups. I don't have quite 2 ounces of paint. That's okay. I plan on using it all up. I am going to be doing this on a 12 by 12 canvas. A 12 by 12 canvas requires about 9 ounces of paint, which I have actually marked this cup at the 9-ounce line. Now that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop there, because I'm just gonna use all this paint. Honestly, it's probably closer to 10. I don't know. But it should be like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Maybe I won't use all of it, but it's not a full 2 ounces in there. So 3, 9, 12. Still might not use all of it. That's okay. I'll try to just keep it close to that line. Keep it close to that line, maybe a little bit above it. Okay. So I'm going to only add, I am minimalistic when it comes to my silicone. I've seen some YouTubers recommend like 5 drops of silicone. This is like a little itty bitty amount of paint. I'm gonna do 2 drops of silicone. And like, this does come out kind of fast. So like, you got 1, 2, 1, 2. Oop, that one got 3. That's okay. When you're going for 2 and you accidentally only do 3, it's all right. But that's what I mean. It comes out fast. 1, that was 2, and like really quickly. 1, whoop, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Whoop, that one got 3 too. That's okay. 2 or 3, it's fine. So some people don't mix up their silicone. I mix it up a little bit. I don't mix it. I do this. All right, here's the thing. I kind of go in, I go 1, 2, 3. Just 3. Mix it a little bit, but not 1, 2, 3. Okay. Whoop, where are we? 1, 2, 3. Might have done 4 in that one. Okay, it's okay. The point is I don't stir and stir and stir it. Okay, it's minimal mixing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3, maybe 4 or 5. I don't know. I'm just counting at this point. Just counting to 3 while I stir, I guess. I don't know. Either one works. All right. 1, 2, 3. Alrighty. Now we are on to the next step. We are going to be layering our cup, and then soon we shall be flipping and stretching. It's going to be so exciting. All right. So let's go and layer our cup. Here is our cup, which, as I mentioned before, has already been marked at the 9-ounce line. So we're going to try to stay there, maybe go a little bit above it. This is my white. I start with the white. Start with the white, end with the white. And I might have some layers of white in there as well. All right. No silicone in the white. All right. I forgot my order. What was my order? I did the blue, the dark blue, to the gold, to the brilliant fluorescent, to the ding, to the ding, to the ding. Was that what I did? If not, it's close enough, and it's still following the basic principle, which is the opaque here, the last one there. Okay. So just stir that a little bit more. So when you layer in the cup, this is what I recommend when you're first starting out. Layer them gently, pour them down the side, I'm gonna use about half of this cup. All right. You can do layers of white in between. If you're not sure about how your color, I'm gonna do that for this pour so you can see how I do it. I don't use as much white as I do color. I use a minimal amount of white, whoop, pour it down the side. Now this is really good to do. Let's see if you can see the cup here. This is really good to do, especially if you're not sure how the colors are gonna mix together if they do mix, right? This is a good way to definitely try to avoid mud, okay? So I'm gonna pour about half of the gold. Just a little bitty bit of white. You don't wanna pour the same size white layers as colored layers, or I don't know, the white is a buffer. Think of it as a buffer. All right, I'm gonna go the fluorescent blue, about half. A little bit of white. All right, we're gonna go with the brilliant yellow green. A little bit of white. I haven't done a flip cup like this in a long time, but this is how I started out, and this is how I think a lot of people start out, and I think it's a good way to start out. So about half of my silver. And a little bit of white, just a little bit of white. Sorry, I'm making myself laugh at myself. Okay, then we're gonna do the bright aqua green, and we're gonna do the white again, and we're gonna do the last layer. I guess I'm just gonna use all the paint because that's what's happening. That's what's happening here. I think it'll work out. If it's a little too much paint, it's okay. In fact, I prefer to have a little too much paint than not enough paint because I don't like to overstretch my canvas. So yeah, to avoid that, I would prefer to use too much than too little. Just a smidgen of white because I do still have the rest of these colors. Whoop, that's okay. To layer in here. Now when I pour, I'm just gonna do the rest without my layers. I'm not worried about how these are gonna mix together, and I definitely wanna top this off with white. And I can tell I'm like right at that 9-ounce mark. A little bit above it. And I'm keeping pouring it down the side. So when you pour it down the side, you see how it kind of layers like a ring in the cup there. So I am going to take the white and I'm going to pour it over the top, a kind of thick layer. And the reason I want to do that is, again, there's no silicone in the white, and that layer is going to be the first layer that touches the canvas. I have enough paint, that's okay though. So this is my cup. You can still kind of see the layers, but I did cover it completely with a thick layer of white there. And it's about time to do this thing. Okay, it's about time to pour. So before I do a pour, I like to spray the back of my canvas with just a little bit of water. This is how I prep the back of my canvas. I'll show you really quick. I lay down painter's tape on the edges, and then I just use regular old push pins to elevate it off the table just enough to where you don't want it sitting directly on the table. The paint, as it dries, it'll stick. It's a mess. You don't want to do it. I think I even have an example. I have an example right here of what'll happen if you don't put push pins. It will, I don't know if you can see, but that's puppy pad. It dried to it. I don't know why I didn't put push pins in this, or maybe one of my kids did this. I don't know. I'll blame it on my kids. Or I was just like really quickly doing something. I don't know. But that's what happens if you do that. Always put push pins in. So I'm going to spray just just a little bit. You're not like overly saturating it. All that does is kind of tighten the canvas just a little bit. Theoretically, supposedly. This is a very small canvas. It's fine. So, all right, and we're about to do our flip. Now, some people are a little worried about, this is a full cup, man. This is a full cup, but you still just got to do it. You're going to be fine as long as you do it fast. That is the key to flipping your flip cup, is a quick flip cup. This, I feel like this is probably a little too full for this canvas, but again, that's okay. That's okay. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, and flip. See? You're fine. Quickness is the key. Do not be intimidated by the flip of the flip cup, okay? So I do like to let it sit. Gotta let that paint slide down. Gotta let it work its way down. And I like to let it mix in the cup a little bit. I like to let it do some interacting while it is inside the cup, okay? So there we go. I like to twirl my cup in a circle, such as that. When I flip it out, I don't just lift it straight up. I mean, you can do that, but I like to tilt and sort of sweep it across, and I feel like that, I just think it makes nice effects. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and tilt and sweep. And there's always gonna be a little bit left in the cup. You can go ahead and knock it on the corner. Now that's gonna be like slid off most likely. That's, you know, but it'll help it slide. Okay. So we're gonna take the torch. The torch is important both to pop bubbles and also to activate. Silicone is a little bit, I won't say it's heat activated, but it definitely, the paint and the silicone, when you warm it up, it definitely does more stuff. See how that's like, see how stuff, a few things are popping up there. Ooh, okay. Don't want to get too close. You want to keep moving. You don't want to, you know, torch your paint, or burn your paint, I should say. So I like to let it sit for a minute. I like to watch what develops. I am liking this palette. I knew that the gold would be my warm color accent. That's what I wanted. The white layering in between does help the different colors merge. And yeah, and my aqua green isn't completely overwhelming, but I love the color, but I don't want it to be the only color, you know. Like the green, the yellow green, I love how it's blending with everything. I like that. Okay, and definitely we're getting some neat stuff here. Okay, I am back. I am back to tilt. It's only been like about a minute, maybe 2. I just wanted to let it develop fully. Let whatever's happening, didn't mean to set that down so hard. Whatever's happening, happen, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and tilt to this corner first. Try to keep your tilting slow and steady. If you tilt too fast, I don't want to lose everything that's happening over there. We'll work on I'm gonna pour that a little white on that corner there. I don't want to lose everything that's on that corner, so we'll let that sit. Okay. Now we're gonna tilt. I'm actually gonna turn it like this so that you can really see, and then I'm gonna tilt to this corner down here. Again, slow and steady. You don't need, it's not a race, right? If it were the tortoise and the hare, you want to be the tortoise at this point in the game. Pull that over that corner, and then we're going to bring it back to the center. You want to try to recenter your paint at every tilt, okay? I don't know, it just sort of allows you to keep whatever shape is happening. It doesn't, you know, wonk it out too much. Wonk it out, that's an official term. That is an official acrylic paint term. You don't want to wonk it out too much, okay? I'm just popping bubbles again, popping bubbles and encouraging interactions before I make my 2 final passes here. And now we're gonna come down to this corner. Now, I'm actually gonna take what's left in this cup, because there's almost always, oh, I'm gonna actually pour it right there on that corner so I don't lose everything when I tilt it. And I'm going to just again, slow and steady. You're the tortoise. And yeah, be the tortoise. Let it slide slowly. Tilting too fast and over stretching are kind of the 2 things that are going to take anything that you're looking at that's like, ooh, I like that when you first flip over the cup. Well, here, we're gonna do this again. We're gonna pour back over. There's a lot of paint right there. Now we're just gonna tilt back to this corner. Again, slow and steady. Now, the reason I keep telling you slow and steady is because that was a hard lesson for me to learn. I used to tilt my canvas so fast, and then I would be like so disappointed because like the things that were happening that I was enjoying, I would almost inevitably lose them. Let me see if there's any, and a bit of last, you know, just get that corner covered with the leftover paint in the cup again, so you don't lose it all when you tilt. I would have probably used the white for that if I had any more white, but I don't. So, and once we get the corners covered, I'm going to look again, and I might still amend, you know, how this finishes, so to speak. Oh, I know why there's so much paint there. It's because I kept turning it, so all the paint, all the paint is there. And I'm going to tilt back over here. So I didn't use yellow in this pour, but the yellow and the green mixed with that white, I see a lot of yellow, which I kind of knew would happen, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm okay with whatever comes up when I'm just, you know, playing around with a palette, which is, you know, basically what this was, a little palette play. What a flip cup is, I would say. A flip cup is palette play. So I like this corner the most. I'm gonna see if I can't stretch it out a little bit. Get more of what's happening up here going on down here. So I'm noticing, eek, hands covered in paint. Forgot to bring a towel. Okay, that I guess is why we have an apron covered in paint. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and torch this again, get any air bubbles out. And also encourage any cells to pop up. Definitely getting some. See, when you stretch out the paint, stretching is an important part of cell activation too, you know, it's all. So I'm gonna activate them. Now I'm gonna stretch them. Well, now that bottom corner is a lot more interesting. I don't know if I want to stretch it too much. That's okay. Just gonna stretch it out a little bit. I don't want to lose too much, but I don't want to slowly stretch out the whole thing, but not too crazy, because I like what's happening, so I don't want to lose it. Just trying to kind of I'm going to lose that corner, but that's okay. All right. We're going to tilt one last time over to this corner. Again, just to keep stretching. Stretching's fun. Stretching's good for you. Stretching's good for your painting, but not over stretching, just gently stretching. See? Okay. And that, I think, is where I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop right here. I am going to take that popsicle stick and wipe it down. I'm going to scrape the bottom edges of my canvas. I can't really show this to you, but I'm running the popsicle stick along the bottom edges, kind of just removing the excess paint. There's a lot of paint on that side because that's where I tilted it all off. And my hands are covered in paint. All right. So here we go. And I'm gonna do one more pass with my torch. See what pops up. This might activate a few things again. We'll see. Ooh, and there it did. That was kind of cool. Mostly I just want to make sure all of my bubbles are, air bubbles are popped. Any cell activations might, you know, bonus, but right now I'm about the air bubbles popping, man. All right. Okay. And there we go. That is your step-by-step tutorial of how to do your very first flip, or your very first acrylic pour, which I recommend being your simple, basic flip cup. I think that is the best way to start. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please do hit that like button. It really helps out. So take some time and hit that like button. And if you like watching acrylic paint pouring videos, consider subscribing because that's all I do here. And also, I'm now going to bring you in for a close-up. Okay, here we are for a close-up. Definitely a lot of interesting cell action happening as you get close up. You can see a lot of fun effects. Very blue, green, yellow. I'm enjoying the palette. It's a little different from what I usually do, but I love all the colors and I think they're all blending and flowing very nicely. It's sort of reminding me of almost like a utopia, like a picture of the Earth from outer space, right? Like a super close-up shot or something, but like taken from way up high of the Earth. Does that make sense? Do you see that? Tell me if I'm crazy in the comments. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.